In this quick video, we are going to be testing a REST API with the help of the REST Assured library. And we're going to be testing a simple operation going against an API that is secured with basic authentication. So definitely a good place to start with writing API or live tests against a live deployed API. So let's get into it. All right, so let's now start using REST Assured to write our first API test and start actually hitting and consuming the REST API. The first test is simply going to retrieve the roles collection resource, and it's going to make sure that the response of that request is going to return a 200 OK. Okay, so let's now read through this implementation and let's make sure we really understand what's going on. But as you can see at the first glance, the REST Assured API is very fluent and very simple. So first of all, we are defining the URI here. Of course, this is hard-coded, and in a normal standard environment, we may want to open that up and make it a little bit more flexible. But for the time being, just hitting this API is perfectly fine. We are then doing basic authentication with REST Assured. And because this is the first time we're using the library, it's really important to really go over each element. So the way we are going to actually start using the REST Assured library, we're going to do that via this given static method here. This is the way to start everything in REST Assured, and then we can start looking into different ways of authentication or into consuming an API directly, but everything starts with this given. Okay, after the given, we are starting to do authentication. So we are opening up the authentication element here. We are specifying that we actually want to do preemptive authentication. And we are choosing preemptive because we are not in a browser. So we don't want to get prompted by authentication credentials. We want to specify those credentials from the beginning because that's what we are going to do anyways. So we are using preemptive here, and then we are simply doing basic authentication. This is pretty simple. And the only reason we are stopping here and actually extracting this request specification instead of going on is simply line length. We don't really want to have a line length that basically goes out of the screen. So that's why I extracted this basic auth variable here. But of course, we could have done the whole thing on a single line given the fluent nature of this API. But anyway, we extracted a variable and now we're starting over. We are specifying the accept header here. Again, very native to the API, very easy to do. And then we are simply doing the get. So you can clearly see how this kind of chaining of calls and this kind of fluent API makes it very, very easy to consume any sort of REST API and still keep everything quite light, quite simple, and quite easy to read. Okay, after the response comes through, we are then simply asserting that the status code of the response is 200. So everything should be clear and easy to understand up until this point. And let's now actually run the test. Okay. So we are getting a green light, the test passes, which means our deployed API is actually responding with this 200 OK that we are expecting. Okay, hope you liked this intro to REST Assured and testing live APIs. If you'd like to go deeper into the testing of live APIs, definitely check out the 5th course of REST with Spring. Cheers and see you in the next one.